Welcome to Thursday Thoughts, your weekly dose of real, honest conversation on all things personal growth. These are the chats Lucy and I love having every week over on Instagram. They're unfiltered, unedited, and always rooted in practical tools and a dose of inspiration. Let's dive in.
So here we are. So Polly and I, so nobody will be watching this because Instagram wasn't working this morning. So Polly and I have decided to come onto Zoom, which is really weird because it's just the two of us. So we're normally live, and now it's just, well, it's still live, but it's just the two of us on Zoom, so we can get this out in the podcast. But basically, what we're talking about on today's Thursday Thoughts is decision making. And I think this is one of those things that we've talked about before, but it begs being, it's a good thing to talk about it again. And it's actually a topic that I really, really love. But it was your idea, Polly. So I'll let you start this one. And we'll get into it.
Okay, right, let's go. The reason I thought of this morning is because we've been talking quite a lot about making decisions in our house recently, because Felix, my eldest, who is 20, about to be 21, he is in the process of making a lot of decisions because he's about to enter his final year of university and is in that sort of place where it's a big transition. What do you do next? And so I've been talking to him a lot about making decisions because he has been stuck in that stagnation of indecision pretty much the whole summer, and it's been driving me slightly crazy. So, and actually, I'm so glad that he's kind of come out of that now. But I think why it's so important is because we are all so wrong of making the wrong decision. So he has always been worried about making the wrong decision. But the thing is, none of us know what the right decision is until we've actually made a decision.
Yeah.
Until you try it out, you don't know if it's the right decision or not.
Yeah.
It could be, it might not be, but you don't know. Nobody knows. So the only way to move forward and get out of that stagnation is to make a decision.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's indecision means you stop. You're stuck in that sort of space of just like, I don't know what to do. And you might write down the pros and the cons and all these sorts of things. But unless you move forward, you stop. And as we've talked about before in this podcast, on Monday Motivation, is we just need to, we're human beings. We like moving forward. When you stop and you're stuck and it feels heavy and it feels difficult. So in order to be able to move forward, we need to just make a decision. It might be the right one, it might be the wrong one, but we need to accept that it might be the wrong one and know that if it is the wrong one, then we'll get the feedback pretty fast. It's not the right decision. Great. Then we know, we learn from that and we can adjust and we can move forward to something different. That might be the wrong one. You might make hundreds of wrong decisions, but eventually it will land you in a place which feels good. And ultimately, I think what we're looking for is to go in a direction which feels good in our mind, in our body, in our soul. That is what we're looking for. So that is why I kind of was prompted to talk about this today. And the other thing I would say about this, which I've been saying a lot to him, is when we're making a decision, yes, lots of people would suggest that you write down what are the things which are really good about that thing which you want to do, and what are the negatives about that? Great, yes, get it all out. However, I then come back to, well, if you can't decide from there, what you need to do is you need to tune in to you and listen to what you are saying, what your heart, your soul, whatever is it within you is saying, your intuition. That is so powerful, but so many of us have lost touch with that part of us. We block it out. So to be able to then really tune in and go, what feels most exciting? What feels really cool to do? And go with that, because probably that's going to lead you or guide you in the right direction. So, I mean, with my 20-year-old, he laughs at me, oh, Mum, this is all your woo-woo kind of stuff you're talking about. And it's like, well, You can say that, but if you are stuck in indecision, this is a great way to go. And actually, deep down the direction you want to go in. It's just about really getting still and listening to those signals.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so much really we could talk about with this, but that is why I thought it was quite a juicy topic.
Yeah, I love this topic too. And I agree with everything, wholeheartedly with everything you've just said, because there is nothing worse than indecision. It's like there just is nothing worse than being stuck, not making a decision. And actually, I have to say that it's something that I feel like I've got much better at over the last few years, particularly since having my own business. I've got much better at just making a freaking decision quickly. And actually, it's so interesting what you said about, I think we're all scared. Ultimately, we don't make decisions because we're scared that we're going to make the wrong decision. But as you so rightly said, you know, if you make the quote wrong decision, then you can always pivot. Nothing is set in stone. It's like we sort of feel like if we make the wrong decision, then we're kind of stuck going down the wrong path for the rest of our lives. But it's just not the case. And actually, every decision we make, whether right or wrong, is taking us in the direction of where we're meant to be going. So again, it's just that there really is no worse. I think it's actually less painful to make the wrong decision and realize you've made the wrong decision than to not make a decision at all. And if you really think about it, what drives you completely mad is that it is that indecision. And I think that it's funny you say sort of writing the list of the kind of pros and cons. I never do that. Like I never do that. And I think I probably never do that because I think normally we know if we tune into our intuition, we know even if we're not sure whether it's the right decision, we kind of know the one that we want to take. And ultimately, it's about sort of tuning out the noise and tuning in to that higher part of us. And for anyone going, "Oh, I don't have intuition," well, we all have intuition. You know, that is literally our internal compass. It's our internal guidance system. And if we can just tune into that, and you kind of have to do that thing where you're just like, what's that game where it's like you have to just say something. You have to say, I don't know, a word. When you think of summer, when you think of the word summer, what do you think? And you have to say the first word that comes to your mind. I really think that when it comes to decision making, actually, you can do a lot worse than just making quick decisions. Because, like you said at the very beginning, not making a decision, all that means is that you are not moving forwards. You are staying stuck. You are staying stagnant. And there is no worse feeling than that. So we've just got to learn to, ultimately it's like taking a risk. But life is about taking risks
Mm.
because nothing is certain. We're never going to know until we take that first move. And a decision, it's just like, a decision is the same as just an action. It is taking action. So any decision is simply taking action. And what action is the thing that moves you forward. And I think it's very similar to action in as much as you and I have talked about before. And I love this so much. It's this idea that clarity follows action. And in the same way that if you make a decision, whatever decision you make, once you've taken that action, clarity is going to follow, whether that is like, oh shit, I made the wrong decision. Okay, I need to pivot back this way. Or, yeah, I think I've made the right decision. So it's always just about like, I love this idea and I try and keep it in my life. I love this idea of forward momentum. It's like we always want to be moving forward. We always want to be taking another step forward, just a little baby step forward rather than standing still, you know? But yeah, I absolutely love it. And I can imagine you with Felix, you were just going like, yes, make a fucking
I
decision.
know. I mean, it really was. It was actually a trip down to see his grandfather, and actually that really help him make a decision, which was really pleasing because he pulled on the wisdom of my dad and a lot of his friends. He was going to play some golf with them, so yeah, so that was really cool. But it's interesting because I've never written the pro and the 2 and 4 like
Yeah.
what's the word, for and
Pro and
against list
con.
either. I've never done that. I've always really just gone on my gut, and I've always trusted myself to make a decision.
Yeah.
Having said that, Lucy, I am absolutely rubbish at making decisions if it comes to things like small decisions, like if I go out to eat somewhere, what I'm going to choose off the menu. I am notoriously terrible because so many times I've chosen something and then I'll look next to the person next to me and I'm like, oh, I want what they've got. So that I know I'm really bad at that. And I try to be really quick these days, but I still struggle. I'm always the last one. Come back to me. I'm always like, come back to me. But with bigger decisions, I'm just thinking sort of career decisions over my life. You, I think you just know
Yeah.
when it's time to change, when it's time to do something different.
Mm,
And yes, I've made some really bad decisions. And I think the thing is, you need to try and work out when it is a bad decision
mm,
and it doesn't feel right, to work it out quickly so that
yeah.
you can fail fast
Yeah.
rather than then going, okay, well, I made that decision. It was the wrong choice. And now I'm stuck here doing this thing. No. And I think that's such an old narrative, which has been probably drilled into us.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because we've always been told that you have a career path and you must follow this particular trajectory. But actually, if it's not right, do something about it fast, get out of it, do something. And I know financial pressures probably come into those decision making, um, that decision making as well. But again, it's like fail fast and try
Mm,
and move and pivot. And I mean, yeah, particularly for young people, my goodness, they're so young. They've got so many years ahead of them. It doesn't really
mm,
matter where they go. And even for us now, actually, it's about finding the thing which really truly lights you up. So
yeah.
that is my biggest guide these days.
Same.
When I did my tuition business, what I did know is I wanted to leave teaching. I wanted to leave teaching in schools. I knew that. So I found a solution to that, which was running my own business, and I was still teaching, but it still wasn't the right thing. And I
Mm,
stuck at it for 6 years, maybe a couple of years too long, actually, if I'm honest. But actually, it was, although it probably, I could say, oh, it wasn't the right decision. I can't, it totally was the right decision because it took me out of schools. It taught me how to set up a business, how to find customers, how to sell, how to do so many things which I had never done before.
mm,
But it was because it was a franchise business, I had that support of a franchise helping me with that. So I learned so much. So it was really only the last couple of years when I really wasn't enjoying it
mm.
that I probably went, oh, this was a terrible decision. But actually, it wasn't at all. I learned so much. And that's the thing. We can taking the good bits out of those bad decisions. Well, it's not a bad, I mean, it's a decision,
Mm.
uh, can then help you move on to what you do want to do. So I think
Totally.
there's always learning.
Yeah.
There's always data that you can use to inform your next decision.
That is so, so, so true. Even the quote wrong decision is always going to lead you to something else. And like you say, you're going to learn. And I think of a good example in my own life is when I think about when I left Radio 2 and I became a fucking detective. I mean, who the hell does that? I know, it's just so absurd.
It makes a good story, though.
I know it does make a good, yeah, it
If
does make a good.
anything.
I don't know how many times I brought that up. It's because it is a good, it's such a good example of so many things. But that was obviously when I made the decision to leave Radio 2 and become a detective, like, and I then walked through the door and within 5 seconds realized that it was the worst decision of my entire life. And I was like, what am I doing here? This is just like, oh. And I stuck at it for like, well, what, a year and a half? I can't remember. It was, I mean, it feels like a parallel universe. But my point is that at the time, there was a part of me going, "Oh my God, this was the worst decision I've ever made. Why did I leave my career at Radio 2 to come and do this thing? Oh my God." And actually, the funny thing is that in many ways, it was the best decision because it led me to where I am now.
Mm,
And if I hadn't left Radio 2, I'd probably still be at Radio 2, which in some ways would be great. But in other ways, I know that I would still be really frustrated because it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. Whereas making that quote wrong, bad decision to leave Radio 2 and become a freaking detective, actually, then because it was such a bad decision, I then left that and completely changed my life. So it's like it's almost like it doesn't matter what decision you make, just make a freaking decision.
mm,
Because whether it is the wrong one, the right one, a good one, a bad one, it doesn't matter. You're going to learn from it and it's going to move you forward. And also, whatever path you go down, this is the thing about life. If you think about it, every single one of us could have gone down thousands of different paths. You know, you and I might never have met if we'd gone down different paths. Do you know what I mean? Whatever path you go down in life, there is going to be something there that you're going to learn. Somehow you're going to grow. There's going to be something for you down that path. So I really think I think decision making, quick decision making is actually a skill that is so useful. And it's kind of like courage. It feels a bit like courage to me because the reason we don't make decisions is mainly pretty much always to do with to do with being scared. We're fearful. We're too scared to make the decision. And actually, you have to just have that little bit of courage to go, I'm just going to make a decision. And whatever it is, I'm going to deal with the consequences. But again, speaking to what we were talking about near the beginning, is that this, I think, one of the main problems is that we feel like once we've made any big decision that we are stuck with that for the rest of our lives. I mean, it could be like, I want to move to Mallorca. Is this the right decision? It's like, well, if you don't move to Mallorca, then that's going to take you down one path where inevitably you're going to be like, actually, it was. Do you know? Hang on, I'm being really inarticulate now. But the point is that whether you decide to move to Mallorca or not, if you do and you feel like it was the worst decision of your life, you're not stuck in that place forever. You can change back. I think we've got to be a bit more fluid about how we think about our lives. And like you mentioned, I think because we so often think, well, I'm on this path. This is my path. I'm going down this particular path. And it's such a load of bollocks because there are twists and turns and we don't quite know how many twists and turns there are going to be to get to the place that we're meant to get to. But also, I like to try and think, this is something I say to myself, what is meant for you will not miss you. So even if you take a supposed wrong turn, you're going to come back to
mm,
where you're meant to be. And like you said, it's really about, and we've talked about a bit about this many times, it really is about following the things that feel good, following those little nudges, following your curiosity, following what interests you, trying to tune into that part of you that always knows what is best for you. And I've always been one of those people who I've always followed my heart. I've just always found it really difficult to not follow my heart because I've always had, I think, quite a strong gut feeling about things. And my heart, I always know what my heart is trying to tell me. And I kind of feel like if you're following your intuition, you kind of can't go wrong because that
mm.
really is your internal guidance system. And there is a reason why we have this inner voice, that still small voice of calm inside of us. It is our compass, and we should learn to listen to it more than we perhaps do. And what we often listen to, and I think this speaks to decision making, is we often listen to the noise. We listen to the people around us. We listen to our family. We listen to our friends, and that confuses
Mhm.
us because people so often think that they know what's best for us. But never forget that you always know what is best for
Yeah.
you. You always know what is best for you more than anyone, your parents, your siblings, your best friends. Only you know what is best for you. So yeah, I really do think that making decisions quickly is a skill. And like you
Mm.
say, fail fast. And
Yeah.
and failure is something that you and I've talked about many times, and it's a conversation I also love because I don't even believe in the concept of failure. It's like there should be another word for it. And, not least because anyone who is successful in life, anyone who gets anywhere has failed 1,000 times. But I bet you the successful person who's failed 1,000 times was really quick at making decisions and just
Mm.
made decision after decision after decision after decision. You know,
Yeah,
again, it's just about that forward motion, that forward momentum,
yeah.
rather than staying stuck.
I will only ever recommend brands that I know, love, and use myself. And one of those is Ancient and Brave. Honestly, they've become part of my daily habits. The very first thing I do every morning is pour myself a big glass of water with their true hydration in it. It feels like such a simple ritual, but it really sets me up for the day. And I know I'm properly rehydrating with their blend of electrolytes and minerals, especially before I exercise, which I always do in the morning. Then later on, when I make my coffee, I stir in their true collagen powder into the coffee. Now it blends in straight away, no fuss, there's no taste, and collagen is something we naturally lose as we age, but it's so important for our skin, joints, and overall vitality. Now, I'll be honest, Ancient and Brave may cost a little more than some of the tubs you'll spot on supermarket shelves, but the difference is you're getting the highest quality ingredients, sourced with integrity and tested to a higher standard, and absolutely no nasties added. That's why I trust them and why I think they're worth every penny. And because I want you to be able to try them out for yourself, I've got a special offer for you. As a listener of this podcast, you can get 20% off your very first order. All you need to do is click the link in the show notes and pop in the code POLYW20 at checkout. They've got more than just collagen and hydration too. They've got creatine, they've got blends, supplements. So it's a perfect chance to explore their range and make the most of that 20% off. Yeah, and I think it's about learning to trust yourself. Our intuition is built on, I believe anyway, our intuition is built on generation after generation after generation of way back, all that wisdom that they have acquired through living, through life, through survival. And all of that is built within us. And it's kind of like we know that. If you look at Native Americans, like Indians, um, they could just understand the land, or they knew where the water was. Look, it's like looking at animals. They know how to survive. They know what direction to go. And
Yeah,
that's because they are at one with the land, with nature, and it's all built within us. We have everything that we need.
yeah,
And so it's really trying to tune into that and, yeah, as you say, block out the noise of what everyone else is trying to tell you and trust that.
yeah.
Really lean into that, trusting I am right, because we know. And it's just, for example, if you are walking down uh like a dark street at night and it's a bit spooky, and then you hear footsteps somewhere, you would get a feeling, like I'm not safe here, and you might well be right. And you listen to that, it's like I'm not safe here, and
Mm.
it might be nothing, but you got that feeling. So that is it. That's it. It's just that you get these feelings of like, oh, this isn't right. Or you might even just get it off a person, this person who is so welcoming, wonderful, and lovely. And you go, yes, I love this person. Or some people you're just like, nah, there's just
Yeah,
something a bit iffy about this person. But again, it's just a feeling. So we all know and recognize when we have that intuition there, but it's about really dialing into that more. And that is why, and we keep coming back to this, getting quiet, getting still, building that interoceptive muscle within us is
mm,
so key. And which is why those practices, meditation, breath work, whatever you choose to do, are so important, because it builds that muscle.
yeah.
I mean, interoception is such an interesting thing. It's kind of
Interoception.
it's called, yeah, so it's called interoception, and it
What's that?
basically means listening, is strengthening and listening to the signals within your body. So
Interoception.
interoception. So basically, if you do any sort of practice where you're doing a progressive muscle relaxation in your body. You're going through your body, you're just trying to relax your muscles. And actually, it's amazing when if you shut your eyes and you go through your body, like, okay, I'm just going to relax my fingers. But immediately you feel a little tingling on your fingers where where your focus goes, the energy flows. You feel it. You feel that energy moving through your body. Then you focus on your shoulders. You might notice it there. That is building something called interoception, which is really key because we have these signals throughout our body, but we don't tune in and listen. So anything like that, I mean, it's how I always start my breathwork sessions with something, whether that's just sensing your heart beating in your chest, whether that is following your breath, whether that is squeezing all your muscles and then relaxing them. They're all practices to help you go internal, to go within, and it
Right.
builds that muscle. And that is such a powerful thing to do to build your intuition.
So interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that word interoception.
Yes.
But it's, yeah, so interesting. And like you so rightly say, like, meditation and breath work and those kinds of things, I think it always comes back down to our very, very favorite word of all time, which is awareness. Well, certainly mine, and I think yours too, because we always end because it comes back to awareness. And when you do breath work and when you meditate, like, one of the best things about meditation for me has been what it's given me, this ability to become so much more aware of what's going on in my head, that I'm able to take a pause and think before I react.
Mm.
That doesn't always work. I still react, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I can't help reacting in the moment rather than responding, but it definitely makes it easier. And yeah, it is. It's like you say, it's learning to kind of trust that internal voice and just trust that ultimately, coming back to our topic of decision making, really, whatever decision you make, just make a fucking decision, because whatever decision you make, it doesn't mean that you can't make another change. So don't be
Yeah.
afraid of making decisions. Just be more afraid of indecision, because indecision really is the thing that just
Yeah.
keeps us stuck. And ask yourself, is there a decision that I know I need to make, but I keep pushing it down? Maybe it's about a job, maybe it's about a relationship, I don't know, but is there a big decision that you need to make, but because you're scared to make that big decision, you're not making a decision, and it's been 2 years, 5 years? Just make the goddamn decision. It's
Yeah.
like, and again, even if it's a bad, quote, bad decision, it doesn't mean that it can't be undone. But the worst thing is to sit in that place where you're driving yourself crazy by not making a decision. There's nothing worse.
There is nothing worse. And I mean, there really is nothing, there is no wasted decision. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a
Yes.
wasted decision. There's only feedback, there's only information that you gather along the way, which you can then use to make your next decision. I think that's a really good way to look at it.
So true. I think this is a good place to wrap up if you're happy to.
Yeah.
By the way, can I just say to the listeners, what's actually really interesting, and maybe something we can talk about, is I have found it, I don't know about you, Polly, but it's harder to have these conversations when we're not live on Instagram. Go figure. Because there's that temptation to be like, actually, oh God, I can't think of what to say next. So isn't that an interesting thing to think about
Yeah.
in itself? I wonder whether this is something that we can. Have you found that as well?
I don't know actually if I have found that today.
I
Um,
have.
have you? That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I haven't allowed myself to kind of let it get to me or let it stop me, but I've definitely, like, there was one moment where I was tempted to go, oh God, actually, can I just back up? Can we start that bit again?
Really? Oh no, I
Yeah.
didn't think that. I haven't felt that at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Interesting.
interesting. So actually, it's good having that pressure of
Exactly.
actually it's got to be imperfect. You
Yeah.
can't worry about the perfection because it's so
Exactly.
easy to do that if it's just you and me. You can just
Ex-
go, no, stop that.
exactly. And also, normally, what's weird, I mean, you and I don't edit our Monday motivations ever. We just add on our introduction and shove them out there. And it's funny because whilst we've been recording this, there's a couple of moments where I thought, oh, I might edit that out, but I'm not going to because, frankly, life's too short. We don't have time to edit this.
No.
But it's interesting that I've found myself thinking that. Anyway,
Yes.
food for thought. Well, we hope you
Yes.
guys have enjoyed this.
Yes, I
We
hope
hope it's
so. I
been,
think, yeah, hopefully
yeah,
you'll make a decision going
yes,
forwards. A
yes,
little bit
exactly.
easier would be great. That's the intention.
All right, love. Well, we'll be back
All
this time
right.
next week talking about who knows what. Sending you all lots of
Perfect.
love. Speak to you
Thank you.
later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.